Man.
Hello, hello. Can you guys hear us?
I love you.
Seems to be working.
Oh no, we had. Okay,
What's
I forgot
wrong?
we had alerts on. Okay, cool. I think that should be fine. Anyways.
Yeah, I thought something broke already.
Okay,
shout out to Yumi with the $2 super chat that says poop and nothing else.
Poop. Our first donation says poop. Nice. Thank you, man.
You weren't
It was
kidding,
me.
Hyun.
It's very cute.
Okay, hello everyone. Welcome to the first. Oh, is this the first YouTube live stream for Dojo Duels lore? I think it is.
Yes.
I think.
Yes,
First one of 2021.
Yeah, we've been doing it on Twitch, but we decided to move it to YouTube just to switch it up and answer any of you guys' questions about Dojo Duels lore and just Dojo Duels in general. And I have with me a big cast of people here. These are just lore committee writers, moderators, and all sorts. So they're here to answer any of your guys' questions. We're just gonna chill for about like an hour, I think, just answering questions, and then afterwards we might do some lore discussion, like lore building stuff that we usually do in meetings. So yeah, maybe you guys can just join us for that. Other than that,
Yeah.
how should we start? So before, I think a couple of weeks before this stream, we asked for you guys to ask questions, and we wrote down most of those questions. So I think we're just gonna just go over those one by one, right?
Yeah. But to start off, I'd probably want us to very quickly just go like down the cast list so that people know who everyone is. So starting at the top and then just go down. Just give a quick introduction about yourself.
Yeah, you don't have to. Yeah, you don't have to say a lot. Just say what you do, and then we'll just move it along because there's a lot of people.
I'm ACJ1. I'm in the lore committee. That's what I do.
Nice. All right, Cannon.
I'm Cannon Fodder. I'm one of the main writers of Lore Committee. If you've ever watched any of the tour around Sierra videos, I would be one of the main people working on the script for that. So yeah.
All right.
I'm Phalak. I'm a dual mod.
Muni?
That's it.
Is that
Oh wait, no, I'm next. Okay. All right. Obviously, my name is Hyun. I am the admin of this stream, I guess, and Dojo Duels itself.
And also a certified boomer.
I am also a boomer. Yes.
Oh, I'm up.
Yeah, Muni.
Munisilk or Munislick, Muni, something along that line. I'm the lore committee's resident idea guy, so I just do whatever really needs to be done, to be honest.
Cool.
I love you. Hi there, I'm Naito. I'm kind of just if I had to put words to it, I guess I'm more of a community manager for the lore committee. I do a lot of the lore work as well, but for me, really, I enjoy trying to connect out to the community and bridge the gap between the creative and the community teams.
All right.
Oh man, thanks. Alright, Nightback here. I think some of you already know who I am from last time if you were on Twitch, so I'm just a mod.
All right.
Pigeon
Yo,
Drop.
what up? I'm Pigeons. I am also another writer. I try to keep the writing grounded in reality so it's not too unbelievable.
Okay.
Hello, I'm Seraph, wife of Hyun. I like long walks on the beach, otters,
Oh
and
no.
secret lover of Telly.
Also, he's a global
Ooh.
moderator.
Wait, Sarah, you're
Oh,
having
yeah.
an affair?
What the? Oh,
All right, okay, let's move it on. Okay, Sophie.
I'm Sophie.
Excellent,
Wait,
excellent.
what's
All right.
And I think we have
Along.
Trey Con. Is Trey here?
On, I'm on the phone.
Okay, Trey's on the Trey's on the phone.
We'll just give him a few
Okay.
minutes.
He's a community moderator. Okay.
All right.
All right, so that's everyone.
So
Yeah,
so from
Naito, you can take over. Sorry.
Okay, yeah. From here, we're just going to start jumping into some of the questions that were given to us on the community post on the YouTube page, and then from there, we'll start going into questions that have been asked in the chat. We do have a couple people keeping an eye on the chat and recording them. So if you have any questions, feel free to put them in at any time. You don't have to wait till we get to the community questions, because we do have a number of them written down already. So. All right, to start, we're going to be going to...
Hold on, I'm going to set up a text box here so we can keep track of what question we're on. Where do I put this? Put this down here. All right, you can go ahead.
Sorry about that. Okay. Can you guys hear me still? I just want to make sure.
I think so, yes.
Yep.
All right, perfect. So our first question came from How Come Fell. Keep in mind, I had to paraphrase a number of these questions just to help clean it up and make it a little easier to read. But the question reads, how old is Sierra? And this one I'm going to throw off to probably Pigeons.
Is Sierra.
Sierra is honestly very old. It's older than what the timeline shows on the wiki. The wiki only shows that Sierra is about 2,000 years old, but in all actuality, the way we wrote it, 2,000 years ago is when history started being recorded. That's when people started writing stuff down, specifically by the Kaihan Empire, if anyone's familiar with that. And it was shortly after the Ancient War.
All right.
So basically, I think Sierra is... we don't exactly know how old it is, right? It's just kind of like... We only have recorded up to what is documented in our canon history. So it's pretty old.
It's a safe assumption to assume that it is far older than when history started to be recorded.
Yeah. 1 second.
Okay. From here, we're going to move on to the second question. This one coming from Sky Slasher, which asks, how long Sierra has been in the works?
Man, I think Sierra... Oh, hold on, let me change this question. One sec.
You okay, Hyun?
I'm trying to keep up with this text so we can keep track of the questions. 1 sec.
How dare you?
Okay.
Fair enough.
I think Sierra and Dojo Duels in general has been in the works ever since I started up Hyun's dojo. It's always been like a thing that I wanted to do since RHG. I don't know if you guys know RHG. But that was a thing on Fluid Anims a long time ago, and it's very similar to what Dojo Duels is today. But once Fluid Anims shut down, our community had to... Oh, thanks for the super chat, Captain. But we had to... Yeah, we had to kind of change it up, and then so that's why we created Dojo Duels. So it's very similar to RHG. Pretty much like the same concept, but it's more grounded in like a fantasy world. There's a lot of lore involved and story for animators to kind of focus on storytelling and not just just fight animations. So yeah, it's been a long time. It's probably been in the works for over 7 years. And it's been conceptualized probably like the past 5-6 years. So it's been a while, and I think we've come a long way because I started to write the lore by myself, and it was really mediocre. and then I kind of gathered together this whole team of people that are better writers than me. They have better ideas. So yeah, it's evolved pretty much out of my hands now, and it's more shaped by the community now, which is cool. Okay. I hope that answered that question.
I love you. So next up, we have a question from Margaret Lindsay. How does the lore committee feel about fan universe alternatives to the lore? And this one, I love you. We have a good answer from Pigeons, and
Take
I know
my money.
Cannon Fodder's also like really upbeat about this one. So let's start to Cannon.
Just go for it, dude. Go for it. Dude,
I mean,
as lore
I feel
community,
like
I personally love to read and see what the community does with the lore that we write. One person told me one time, right, that they thought that the bottom of Aether 2 was like a Gundam. Now that's not exactly what we had in mind when we wrote Aether 2, but that sounds awesome, dude. Nonetheless,
that's right, the
we encourage
canon.
the community to be creative with our lore, whether that means making your own version or expanding on what we already made, or even making your own world independent from any inspiration from us, like what RHG used to do.
I'll just wait till he's done. Don't worry.
Okay. Pigeons, I had thrown that one to Cannon, but okay.
Like, in all honesty, we encourage like that sort of thing, making your own universe, making your own story, and all of that crap. Sorry for the uncouth language. Anyway, but God damn it. I mean, that's like the way we specifically designed the law in order to be open-ended so that you could have all of these interpretations. And honestly, like, the entire goal of Law Committee and the dojo is to just encourage creativity in general. And if that means you can if that means spinning off Sierra and making 100 billion versions in order that that we can't keep track of, then by all means, go ahead.
All right.
Anyone else wanted to? Maybe I can add to that.
If you want to, Hyun, that's absolutely fine.
I think I really like the whole reason why we made Dojo Duels lore is because we can see different fan versions of the universe. So
I love you.
Yeah, that like
Language canon.
but yeah, anyways, yeah, I really love the fact that people have their own ideas and their own universes in Dojo Duels, and it's something that is to be embraced. And it's not something that like, oh, this is wrong or you're wrong. As long as you can tell the story in your own mindset, then I personally love it.
Okay,
Right.
was there anyone else that wanted to comment on this one before I move on to the next question?
High school universe when?
Ooh, I don't know about that one though.
Thanks,
Okay.
man. We appreciate it.
So, our next question, I unfortunately seem to have forgotten to include the name of the person who asked, but it's just what language do Sierrians speak? And I'm going to throw this one to Muni.
Ooh, okay.
Well, they speak English, of course. No. To properly answer the question, I presume that in the world as vast as Sierra, it makes sense for there to be different languages for each major region, and even for different dialects when looking closer. Kind of like in America, there's English, and then go down south, there's like Cajun French from way back when, stuff like that. And however, at this point in time, the lore committee doesn't
Soapy
have an
will kill
officially
us
stated
all.
language, or languages for that matter.
All right. Coming from Peter Mercado, does Sierra exist in our world, or is it its own world? And this one, I think I'm going to throw to Soapy if she's okay with answering this one.
Wait a second.
Wait, sorry. What was the question?
Sophie, the question is, does Sierra exist in our world, or is it its own world?
Anyone can jump in. It doesn't have to be Sophie, by the way.
Yes, Sierra is real.
Sorry, I
It
wasn't
exists in the
prepared.
real world. It's real.
Sierra exists in its own world, right? But this should not let you from doing something like an isekai, for example, where something from the real world is transported to Sierra.
Or from referencing stuff that we have in real life.
Yeah, I would assume that. I mean, if you look at your everyday, fantasy RPG game, most of the time it's another world, right? It's not the Earth. So I think you can compare it directly to something like that. But also you can add whatever references you want to the real world.
Can I just add one quick thing?
Yeah.
This also goes back to the previous question about, what language and fan alternate universes.
Mm-hmm.
While the most widely agreed upon canon is that Sierra is its own world, if you wanted to have it take place in our world but be a different continent, totally go for it. This is the freedom that you have.
Yep.
Make your own canon,
Creative liberties.
So I'd just like to step in here. I'm seeing a little bit of stuff in the chat about us not addressing some of the questions that are being asked. We currently have some questions that we collected prior to the stream starting that we're going through. And then once we're done with those, we're going to be moving on to questions that have been asked in the chat. We have someone going over the chat and grabbing questions as they're asked. Don't worry. I can't guarantee we'll get to everyone's, but we will be trying to get to as many of them as we can.
I mean, I reckon it's fine if we just take a break from the gathered questions and just take a segment to answer the chat questions. I mean, that won't hurt, will it?
No, not at all. So let's go down to some of the more recently asked questions then.
All right.
Let's see.
So I'm going to start with the first one that we grabbed back when the stream first started, which is from Dan Fox Dude, asking if there would be a simplified video detailing the entire history of Sierra. And this one I'm just going to throw to Hyun.
Wait, the question was, will there be a simplified video describing...
It's the first one in the incoming questions, yeah.
I believe they just want like an entire lore timeline history summary, basically.
Well, I need to write this down. Oh, I see it. It's right here. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going on the ones that we have. Again, we've been writing down the questions as they get asked in the chat, and I'm just going through the list of those now and starting to go through them.
Okay, so the question was, could there be a simplified video on the history of Sierra? Yes. So what we're doing right now is we're actually kind of rewriting a lot of the current lore of each region. But for the history itself, it's pretty much solidified. So I think once we're done with all the regions, we're going to have like a really good narration and a video that describes the history of Sierra in a more simple manner, not like a wall of text. And then obviously we have the tour around Sierra, which has each region and simple descriptions for each of those. So yes, there will be a simplified video down the road that explains the history.
Okay, coming from Black Ninja, can you guys make a game based off of one and Sierra itself? I'm going to throw this one to Pigeons.
Make a game.
Oh boy, games are quite the uptaking. They take a good bit of time, money, and effort that, frankly, Lore Committee doesn't exactly have in order to make one. We'd love to make one, but it takes a lot of development, a lot of knowledge that we don't exactly have. We'd love to make one, but it's pretty far out of our reach.
I mean, I am planning, like I am kind of doing schooling for video game design, but that's like years out, so don't expect
And then
anything
even
anytime
when Naito
soon.
does finish it, that's one game developer we have.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a few games by the community. There was what's the one that Dylan made?
Knockout.
Yeah,
And then Before
Knockout.
that, there was Fatal Fury.
Yeah, you guys know
Fatal Alert.
Knockout. We've uploaded a few videos of Knockout. You can search it on the dojo page, but that's a community made game, a fighting game that Dylan made, and it actually has the character 1 in it. So that's like the closest that we can get. But for an official game, we need like budgets, we need coders, artists, designers, and that takes a lot of resources. So maybe we'll see something like that once Dojo Duels itself kind of gets more of a foothold. But yeah, that was a good question.
Game. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, it's a good game.
There's also the fact that depending on what sort of game you're making will greatly either reduce or increase the amount of time required
like-
to build it.
For
Yes.
example, I've been prototyping a card game based on like Sierra for a while now, and it's it's still in its fledgling phases, and there's just so much writing that needs to be done for it that you probably won't see it for a long while.
I think the easiest explanation is that people might decide to make games based on Hyun's Dojo characters individually, but we as a team aren't going to make a game anytime soon.
Yeah.
It's up to Hyun to
So,
promote those games to you,
moving
though.
on
But other than
then?
that, you got to look for them yourself.
Yeah, so I'm going to bounce back up and do a couple more of the questions that we had beforehand, just to make sure we get some variety. Coming from Free Wind Griffin, who created Somnus and what happened to them? This one...
Who created... Wait, where is it?
It's under History and Lore questions, second question.
I got this.
Yeah, so this one I'm going to throw to Pigeons as well.
So, the area in the northwest, it's now known as the Ruins of Somnus, right? It was one of 2 landing points on Sierra where the powerful alien race, the Somnians, landed. They were devastated by an equally powerful native race known as the Seraphs during that ancient war that I talked about earlier. Malfunctions in their super weapons caused them to just disappear, in addition to being absolutely destroyed by the Seraphs. So what's now left of it is just the ruins of Somnus.
Okay. So next up, I'm going to ask a question that I'm seeing quite a bit in the chat, but we also got ahead of time. Coming from Oxop3000 and a number of members of chat, is Sierra the entire known universe, or is there land outside yet to be discovered? Going to throw this one to Muni.
Wait. Can you guys highlight in the doc what current question we're on?
Sure thing. Here you go.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, sorry, I was muted.
Wait, Naito, I think you don't have to direct questions to anyone. We can just have anyone chime in if they want to answer it.
All right. So okay. So for now on, I'll just ask the question and just leave it to you guys to answer them.
All right. So, may I?
Yes.
Go ahead.
All right. So Sierra refers to the continents listed on the map itself. So it's not the entire universe or the planet. So we leave that to the community to figure out. But there are places that Sierrans have yet to discover because there are the Somnians who came from the stars. So that's a whole can of worms right there. I'll just leave it at that.
All right.
I mean, there's
Very
also
quickly.
the unknown that's like in the top right of Sierra, which basically we don't know what's beyond there, and also it could serve as a massive land bridge to another set of regions. So generally, we try to leave ourselves room in order to like add new stuff if we ever come up with the idea. So yeah.
All right. One last uh, question before we go back to the ones that you guys have been asking. Coming from Flack, will Sierra have world events that change the map or regions?
Yeah, but I mean, we already
Yeah.
have had like several of those. There's the Wither Tree quest, which actually caused about half of the moat to be destroyed and created a new region on the map. A region called Wither's Reach, by the way. And we enjoy doing those sort of, those events. I mean, changing the map is a little bit annoying, but generally, it's good that we do those events because it adds a certain level of significance to the actions of the duelists and stuff like that.
And we've also added things such as like new races, such as the Bijans and the region of Biju itself, along with the mechanics of Sierrites.
Though what you guys have to realize is that even though we're making constant updates to the map, they do take time, which is why they're not immediately reflected. So keep tabs on the wiki. There might be something there that you don't exactly see on the map yet.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, coming from the cyber, is Gelta equal to $1 or is it just a placeholder?
Down the bottom here.
Gelta, okay, so this has come up a lot. Gelta is the currency in Sierra, right? We did a calculation I did a couple calculations years ago, but it hasn't been adjusted for inflation. But it should give you a general idea of how what the value of Gelta is. So according to calculations made in 2018, one Gelta is approximately 0.17 USD. It's 17 cents, making Gelta a rather weak currency in comparison to what we have in real life.
Yeah, so it is a proper currency, but it isn't just equal to $1.
I mean, for the people
All
who
right.
don't want to learn economics, it's like it's also up to your interpretation. So, I mean, like, if you want it to be defined by some other number, feel free to do so in like your works. I mean, there's no
Yeah, go
formal
ahead.
definition.
A general rule of thumb is that you don't exactly have to follow what we write. If you want to make it your own version, go ahead. I know that Gilded Guy uses Gil as the currency in his world, his version of Sierra, rather than Gelta. That's perfectly fine. Go for it. He even makes armor out of that stuff. It's pretty neat.
Okay, so next up we have a question from Hellfire Does Cringe. Is rice a power-up or a currency?
Ooh.
Yes.
I mean, I don't think it's either, to be honest. The canon definition of like how rice operates is that it's a valuable resource that it doesn't really power you up if you eat it like directly, like other than feeding you for several days. But what rice does bring to the table is the fact that it unlocks all of the magical, progression. It's used heavily in like rituals and like potions and other stuff in all sorts of places in order to, do stuff.
I have something to add. So, I think if you want to get the best representation of rice, you can compare it to like oil. It's a resource, and people can use that oil for many different things, like powering an engine, maybe starting a fire. So I think that's the best representation, just compared to today's oil. It's a very
It's
valuable
not
resource.
just oil; it's magical oil.
Yeah.
Oil is pretty magical.
Also, really quick, there is rice and then there is rice. There's two different types of rice. There's just regular rice and then there's the rice.
Yes.
Both exist.
What you have to realize is that whenever we refer to rice in all caps, That is referring to this overpowered, concentrated magic plot MacGuffin. All right. That makes things a little bit easier. Whenever you see rice in all caps, we're talking about the OP version.
Anyway,
Yeah, none of
moving
this is
on,
confusing at
probably.
all.
All right. Next up, again coming from the cyber, have there been any issues regarding Dojo Duel fights that you would like to share?
Issues. I can't really think of any.
First thing that comes to mind is the tournament.
Issues is kind of vague. Yeah, the tournament. I was just about to say that. So generally, when Dojo Duels happens, it happens in the respective animators or artist's own personal version of Sierra, right? Once in a while, Hyun likes something, and we are tasked with putting it into the lore in a certain way. The only case of this is with the 2017 tournament results, where a bit of Navia was destroyed in, I believe it was Jess's animation, Jess the Dragoon, and we referenced that in history. Of course, we scrubbed the names so that no one individual person or group is advertised or promoted over the other.
Basically, we don't really get issues regarding Dojo Duel fights because the Dojo Duel fights aren't really what we address. They're kind of that's more the realm of the duel mods. Coming up next from Pin, are there any plans for ending the Hyun's Dojo storyline?
I mean, just depends on how long we want to keep on kicking the dead horse along the road.
I don't think there is an end. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ken.
Oh no, I'm basically finished. You go ahead.
Okay. So I think since the lore right now we've from now until a long time ago we've been building up the lore from the past. But once we're done with that, we're going to start building into the present. So right now, we haven't even actually done a lot with expanding the lore when it comes to present time. So when it comes to the storyline, I think we're literally just at the beginning. So there's a lot of room to expand and continue telling the story for many, many, many years down the road.
Also, I don't think it would be accurate to say that Hyun's dojo and Sierra as a whole has like a main storyline. We don't really have like characters, NPCs, or anything of the sort, to be honest. So yeah.
I'd like to make my own perspective on this. The closest thing that we do have to a storyline are story arcs. There's something that we've been toying around with for a while with regards to quests and events, and are planning on implementing at some point in the near future, where we have multiple quests that build off of each other to create a more overarching story. And while we do have plans to begin implementing something like that, we don't have any plans for anything that would end the continued production of events for Hyun's Dojo. I will say that personally, I have made considerations for potentially, if the dojo is kind of in its final days, maybe working with Hyun to make an event as kind of like a final send-off for it, but I haven't really brought that up with him directly to discuss it, and even if that did happen, it would be a really long ways down the line. So at this point, there are no plans to end Hyun's Dojo's storyline.
I mean, that's assuming we're all there to work on it.
I mean, more precisely, it's assuming I'm there to work on it.
Same.
Well, I'll still be here.
Next up, coming from Sayala, is Paige. What is the actual value of rice in Sierra?
Oh,
I'm gonna take hold on these things if I answer the last economic question. So for 1 grain, based on the previous calculations, 1 grain of this ultra powerful rice would be about $31,000 US, nearly 32,000. It's comparable, like Hyun said, to oil, where it's a really valuable commodity that not everyone can afford, but it's not completely out of anyone's grasp. 31,000 is like the cost of a new car. If you can afford a car, you can probably afford a grain of rice if it was real.
Yeah.
Okay,
Very expensive.
coming up next, we have a question from multiple people, and while this one is formatted generally, I'm going to make it even more general. A lot of people have been asking questions about details of other people's works, like One versus Skid, like Gilded Guys stuff, asking about the age of specific duelists, or asking about when next releases will be. I'm just going to come right out and say that we don't know. This is outside of our purview. We don't oversee every individual duelist, nor do we oversee the creative process of the creative members of our community. What we do is we oversee the general world and the general setting for Dojo Duels, with the intent of making something that people can access and use in their own works without limiting them. So it's impossible for a lot of us to say what some of the scheduling or what some of the specific details are going to be. We'd have to approach the individual creators themselves, simply because we just don't know.
Unless each of us like makes a duelist individually, we don't own any of the duelists. So it's generally left to the, what's it called? To the will of the creator, so to speak.
I can tell you guys how old my duelist is. One is
1 year old.
30 years old. And Yo-Yo
30,
is...
really? That's quite old.
Yes, he is pretty old. And Yo-Yo is 10 years younger than one, so he's 20 in present time.
Yeah, Naito, I just saw a bit of an interesting question. Well, not interesting, but sort of a question that probably needs to be a bit clarified with the community. So from Logan Layton, how does this fit with RHG lore, as some duelists are from that era?
Wait, where's the question?
The closest one to this one would also be the one from Zigzag GT in the document.
So I feel like we should just open it up and say, how does RHG fit into the lore in general?
Yeah, probably. It's a very common question.
It's kind of a separate system entirely of art and animation trades, RHG and Dojo Duels. This would be like asking if the lore of Star Trek is canon to the lore of Star Wars. They aren't. Though, Hyun has talked to the creator of RHG about a potential reboot and reintegration. Hyun, would you like to add on to that?
Yeah, so RHG, way back in the day, it was literally just characters and animators just fighting with their characters. There's no lore or anything like that. But there is a possibility that we're going to implement RHG like as a thing in the lore, and we're going to introduce it as a reboot.
Just to sort of pay homage.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys know Stone, the owner of Fluid Atoms, but we're still in the talks of implementing that. But even like besides all of that, even in my Dojo Duels and my story, I'm going to implement RHG characters just because I'm able to. So, even though it's not canon, it doesn't mean that you don't have to implement them.
But to answer the original question, no, RHGs is not canon to Dojo Duels.
Yet.
Okay, this one has not been put into the document yet, but I think it's one that we should probably address. Coming from Moon Knight Plays, would you take some NPC ideas from chat?
Ooh.
NPC ideas?
Ooh.
Yeah, why not?
I mean, personally, I'm open to the concept of official characters that can represent, Hyun's Dojo or Dojo Duels.
There's a question that was asked a while ago about it, also referring to NPCs. If we can go back to that.
Yeah. Basically, at the end of the day, what it comes down to is Hyun's Dojo. The lore does not have specific characters. We specifically go out of our way to avoid naming any characters or giving any specifics of relevance, simply because we have had concerns in the past about people using the lore as an excuse to try and give their characters greater validity, and we don't have the time to vet every single character with a name that comes our way. So the general policy of the lore committee, and this applies to our own work, not just the work that is submitted to us, is no names.
Yeah. So can I give an example?
Yes.
Go right
Right,
ahead.
so what we can say is, for example, the Mosh is often the haven for criminal organizations and black market activities. That we can say, that we can put down as canon. However, we cannot say, out of all the gangs scurrying within the Mosh's dark underbelly, none are more notorious than the Graveyard Crew and their leader, Butch the Breaker. That is non-canon, and we can't put that in because it's naming specific organizations and individuals.
We actually have a not so much a mantra, but we have some regulation that we have to go by when we create ideas for lore committee, right?
Charter.
Lore committee, I have it written here. Lore committee follows a set of rules when writing lore. The main one being that no particular person, group, creator, or idea will objectively benefit by becoming canon. So let's take Muni's example of the Graveyard Crew that he just made up just now, right? If we were to make that canon, you'd bet your dollar that there are some people who are gonna say, "Oh yeah, no, I'm the that guy's secondhand man." No, I am. We have all these people trying to validate their own duelist by using an aspect of the lore that shouldn't be there at all. So unfortunately, we kind of have to just say no to NPCs, named NPCs in general, but we keep it vague so that people of the community can interpret, create, or change the lore to fit their own specific style. A proper example of this is the dojo elders from the Great Dojo era in the lore. We don't exactly say what they are, we don't say who they are, but they are there. So if anyone wants to interpret them in their own way, they can.
I mean,
Okay.
I mean, if I may, I mean, historically, working on NPCs and NPC factions has gone, not that great for Hyun's Dojo. But who knows? Maybe we'll tackle it someday down the line when we're better at our jobs. We have more people and we can do more stuff.
Okay, so next up, coming from Derp Derp, is Sierra the only continent on its planet?
Wait, where is
I mean,
that
like, the entire thing with Sierra is it's the name of all the known regions and all the known worlds. So in that sense, you could call it the name of the planet, I guess. But like a thing we've been doing specifically is that we haven't named the continents in Sierra. So if you look at the Sierra map, you'll see that the map is basically divided into like west and east, and we refer to the continents as such. So you have the Western continent, and then you have the Eastern continent, and then there are subdivisions of states and regions in those continents.
So technically, it's 2 continents, but on the planet itself, there can be as many as you guys want. We leave the number of continents on the planet vague so that you, the creators, can have artistic liberties with it.
All right, coming from is Kilo in the chat? Cool. Coming from King Kilo Official, will there be any big map-changing events that multiple people can join, like a collab?
Yes. Yes, the most recent one being the Great Wither Tree raid boss quest, as previously stated, ended up changing the world by adding Wither's Reach. Sorry.
All right.
Yeah, I actually want to add on to that as well.
Yeah, so
go ahead.
Let Hyun go first. What's up?
Yeah, so when it comes to big map changing events, that'll most usually it'll be an official dojo event called like a world event. And when that happens, it's most likely going to be like a collab competition or something similar to that. So yeah, we do have plans to make big events that'll have effects on the actual map. Yeah, that's just what I wanted to add. Here's the map, by the way. I'll show it on screen.
Pigeons, do you want to go or?
No, I'm good.
Okay, the one thing I'd like to add to this is that for events like that, in the future, we're trying to avoid any single person from making major changes on their own using that kind of event. So what we've started implementing is basically multiple outcomes. Events might have a few different ways that they can end, and the ways that they end will have different results, which can change the map in different ways. For example, with the Great Wither Tree, we had two states: success, where they defeated the tree, and failure, where the tree won. That particular quest resulted in failure. The tree won and carved out the new area, Wither's Reach. But had the tree succeeded, we might not have gotten Wither's Reach, but might have had some other change that affected the map instead.
Yeah, so if you look at the map right now, you'll see Wither's Reach right here, this area. This was actually not on the map before. And then it was added later after the world event. So yeah, we do have map changing events. And this is recently updated. So there's a giant dead tree here now. Or dormant tree.
A giant sleeping tree and a bunch of mushrooms.
Yeah, so what the event was that a giant tree came from the dead forest and it was attacking the moach or heading towards the moach. And then there was a giant collab about stopping this giant tree, and then now it's kind of dormant here, and then we added it.
Do you reckon that means that there could be a Wither Tree 2 event?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that's why I had when I helped design the aftermath. That's something that I definitely wanted to keep in mind, was a potential for a reemergence, which is why I had it hibernate and not self-destruct.
Also, Nido, meeting room chat. Sarath posted like a question that I think might be pertinent to answer.
All right, for sure.
I think Hyun should probably answer that one.
In the chat.
I'll just read it out. From Stavia. There hasn't been much activity going on in the Dojo website. Do you have any plans to update the website or host any events that could bring people together?
Hold on, I'm writing this down. Okay, so the short answer is yes. I'm currently in the works of updating the entire Hyun's Dojo website overall, but the main bulk of all these updates are going to be for Dojo Duels. So you can expect like a completely different experience once we push out Dojo 2.0. And it's going to be pretty crazy. It's going to be almost like you're playing a video game, but as an animator. So that's kind of the goal that I want for Dojo Duels and the new website. Not just, just writing text on forums, which is what it is right now. It's going to be a completely updated and fun experience for everyone once it comes out. So
Will
yes.
there be a like system?
Yes.
But will there
All
be
right.
a dark theme?
Yes, that will be the default theme.
Coming from
Heck yeah.
JP Kino, was there a main inspiration for making the lore?
Wait, where's the question?
It's just below kilos in the doc.
Oh. Alright, can you highlight these in red when you call them out? Because I'm trying to write it on the stream as well.
Okay.
Main inspiration while making the lore. I think my main inspiration when I was starting it was... What's a good inspiration? I don't even know. I think...
I'll be honest.
Yeah.
I
Go
think
ahead.
that the biggest inspiration was League of Legends, like the old lore.
Yeah, I think back then I played a lot of League of Legends, so I really loved how, there was Runeterra as like a world map, and you can place all these different characters on this map and where they belong. And then now, just now, they're going pretty crazy with the lore and expanding upon it. So I think, yeah, League of Legends was a pretty big experience, and I know a lot of people, sometimes call out our lore and compare it to League of Legends lore. But I personally don't think that's a bad thing, honestly, because League really does good lore nowadays.
Okay, we are coming up to the end of the hour, so I am going to stop going in order and try and pick out a few that I think are the most relevant. Coming from Stickman Tony, is there an evil force in Sierra?
Force in Sierra. Ooh, anyone want to answer this? It's a good one.
There is.
Well,
okay, well, hold on. Evil
not-
is subjective.
Yeah.
There are multiple different kinds of evils. There is
True.
a literal evil, as in like the darkness, spooky bad guy that we have written in the past that have caused quite a ruckus in the lore. They're literally just called the Shadow, but they caused essentially what was World War One an equivalent of in Dojo Duels or in the lore. Again, this is a very vague question. Anyone else want to add on to that?
Is there an evil force? I
Wait,
think
are we
that's
talking
pretty
about
much
the
it.
shadow and the evil?
Yeah, the closest thing we have to an evil force would be the shadow. And the shadow hold itself. Where there's like basically a big old hole in reality that's letting out this corrupting energy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that.
So-
I think,
If
So,
I may.
actually,
wait, I mean,
if I
you go
may,
first.
I'd just like to clarify that when we mean the shadow, there are basically two different things that we are referring to depending on context. The first is the shadow, which was a specific entity that was spawned from the shadow hold, which resulted in the downfall. And the second is the shadow, which is the force that is leaking through the shadow hold that acts as a very corruptive influence on anything it comes into contact with.
That's not confusing in the slightest. Don't worry about it.
Okay. If I may, well, since
Yeah,
everyone's stopped speaking, I feel like, okay, since I worked on the shadow hole description, okay, I don't want to confirm anything too specific, but the entire thing with the shadow hold is that there's a hole in reality that goes to a whole sort of background extra dimensional sort of place wherein like evil and creatures and evil energy seeps out. So like that's the entire thing, like, on of the question of evil. There's this entire thing in the background, this entire possibly world or region in the background there that is just, wreaking havoc on Sierra.
Yeah. So I think the closest thing to actual evil is probably just the Shadowhold, because that's like the whole concept of Shadowhold in the first place, is that it is evil.
All right, so we are past time. We can answer a couple more questions if the rest of the group wants. Otherwise, we can move to the main meeting.
I mean, like, what's it called? Which region will we be working on?
I think we're finished with the previous two, so I think it's on to.
We're finished with the current round, so should we move on to like Cocoa or something?
So we finished the long descriptions? Because I thought we only finished the short.
We never do the long descriptions.
Yeah, not gonna lie, we never do the long descriptions.
The long descriptions are usually reserved for after Torrencia because we have to move quickly to get continuously produce new rounds.
Oh,
So
yeah,
those
that's right.
will.
That's right.
So
Like-
I think the next ones were Nira Kokuo.
So are we?
Feel like,
We got
just
you.
by the way, so ever since we don't do the long descriptions, whenever we say we should move an idea to the long description, we're just basically sending it to the Shadow Realm.
Fair enough.
So are we done taking questions or what? What are we doing now?
I mean, we can
I
answer a
don't-
few
I
more
don't
things.
see-
on.
I think
I don't see why
Lightning
we
round.
can't answer questions and work on the document at the same time.
okay.
That is true.
Let's okay, so
Honestly, I think we should just keep going with the questions.
Yeah, I think we should kind of extend the Q&A a little bit more because there's a lot of questions still.
We've only gone through a fraction
Yeah.
of what's been sent to us, and we've only gone through an even smaller fraction of what's being currently asked of us in the chat.
Yeah.
We have a lot of questions to go through, but I know that we were hoping to keep it questions for around an hour, so that's why I was asking, do you guys want to keep going or do you want to move over to the meeting?
I think, in my opinion, I think questions are more important. So let's try to answer as much of them as we can, and then if we do run out of time, we can just go through a rough overview of what we do in our usual meetings and just end it at that.
I mean, I can still read questions and work on the document at the same time. I don't see why it's mutually exclusive.
Well, I'll tell you guys what is. How about the rest of you guys start moving over to and opening up the docs and getting some stuff going, and I'll start. And I'll just ask you guys some questions as you go. Does that sound
Or
good?
better yet, we can just keep doing the Q&A, and then we can refer them to the Discord channel where they can join to see if they want to see how we hold meetings.
Oh yeah. Should we link them
I'd
to
say that's even
the?
better.
Should we link them to the
Actually, yeah, let's link the Discord.
We should absolutely link the Discord.
Someone give me the Discord link.
Here, I'll send it in the chat, actually.
You know, one of these days on the next Q&A session, we should really just have the Discord links up on screen.
Probably.
Sophie, send me the.
Small thing to do.
Why not do that right now? Where's that text box?
The official one.
Yeah, Hyun, do you want to throw that up on screen?
Yeah.
It says where that text box was?
Yeah, give me a second.
Just posted it in the chat.
Oh, and
this one.
Oh, mine isn't the permanent link though. It's a 1-day link.
Oh, it's fine. Your one is fine.
Hyun, did you still want to do the meeting as part of the stream, or did you want to maybe leave that as a separate thing?
I'm more leaning towards just doing an overview of what we go through, but not actually going through the entire process, because that usually takes over an hour.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't think it's a very interesting thing to watch or listen to.
Well,
which is why we should just continue
we
with
can
the
just
Q&A.
we can just show them.
It can
what
get
we do.
interesting when we get into Rocky versus Sandy, but
If you want to do a mini meeting, we could talk about the Easter event. That shouldn't take too long, and I would give them a taste of what it's
Wait,
like.
there's an Easter event?
it's not a major canon event. We were just considering. You remember how a couple of weeks ago I had discussed wanting to do seasonal events that would recur every year?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Well, Faye made a really good suggestion of bringing back the Bun event, the one with the escaped bunnies in Boptown and across Sierra, and just using that as a recurring spring event. It wouldn't necessarily be canon. It wouldn't necessarily be canon, but it would just be like something that people can look forward to returning every year.
We could even go further than that, and not just limit it to Bop.
True.
Like the bunnies have escaped from Highgate. They've escaped from Flavortown.
And as part of that, I was also going to expand on the quest itself a little bit and maybe add in a couple simple mechanics just so that it wasn't just a go here, do this quest and had a little bit more engagement.
I mean, it reduce, reuse, recycle,
Okay.
Anyways, yeah. So going back to questions, because that's what we're here for.
Yep. Any other questions that you guys had? Feel free to ask them. We're just gonna do quick answers at this point.
Okay. CEO of Hentai, what's the general level of technology in Sierra?
It depends.
I mean,
There
it's
are
varied
planes,
across the
there
regions.
are guns. There's no spaceships, if that's what you're asking, because that was part of the question. Think of it like an RPG world where guns and swords can coexist somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And planes.
It depends on the region. So each region has its own technology level.
Yes. Mainly the Southwest is the most cutting edge because they have Aether 2. But there are places that still use staves and wands and bows and arrows and swords.
Okay,
Yep.
coming up next, Zeta Escapism. What if someone wanted to create a kingdom for his duelist lore just in an existing area? Like creating a kingdom in an existing place in Sierra, would that be allowed?
Yes, go right
Yes.
ahead.
Yeah.
Put it wherever you want. In your own version of Sierra, you can put it wherever you want.
Just don't ask
Like-
it become canon.
Yes. If you want my personal
That's
recommendation,
fascinating.
Aegis Fields. It is literally a grassland fields. It was most recently depicted in the community with Oxub versus Gilded Guy, where it was just a field. Perfect place for a castle out there or a kingdom.
Are you certain that was Aegis and not Rytera Valley? I'm still not sold on that one.
Well, he asked us about Aegis Fields.
Yeah, but
Anyways, Shadow by name. Have any Sierrians tried messing with ancient technologies from the Somnians? Sorry to be going so fast. I'm just trying to keep us moving.
Okay.
Not in canon. But if you want to write a story about doing that, go right ahead.
Blue Cuboid. Will there ever be a widespread shift in political thought or the beginnings of such with respect to Blackwatch and Ether 2?
Yes, there is an upcoming event around Tour Around Sierra that explores exactly that with exactly those regions. Stay tuned. I've said that last stream as well. If you were there.
All right.
KAP Anims. How much can a duelist affect the Dojo universe, or is that something that duelists should be trying to avoid?
can I take this?
Go ahead.
All right. So basically, you cannot. It's non-canon. However, you, the creator, can affect the lore through events that we set up. And if something goes through, like the collective effects that you collective effort that you put in may very well change the face of Sierra in some way, shape, or form.
I'd also like to add a quick footnote here. There's nothing stopping you and other creators collaborating to make a spin-off version or community version of the lore, by the way, in which, several duelists could have like a shared canon or something like that.
Yeah, that too, like little shared mini multiverses.
Yep.
Coming from Isaiah Ivory. Are there any idea for regional factions or militants?
Factions is a general term. There are groups that are exclusive to certain regions, but again, with our mantra, so to speak, we try not to name them because people will then try to use it to get their duelist or character to become canonized.
I mean, like if we pull it off correctly, we could maybe write NPC factions because we do have the MRCI and CPF in canon and all of that.
But those are general.
Timothy
fair enough.
Jones. All right, from Timothy Jones. Are you sure the Dead Forest is just for monsters?
Well, it's definitely not a place for men.
Yeah. I mean, there's like you can say that there's stuff like necromancy, bandits, stuff like that. Just not on the positive side of things. Doesn't have to just be monsters, but it is
Not
a
gonna
lot
lie.
of monsters.
Yeah, not gonna lie. I think it'd be a bit of a long stretch for a group of like bandits to be in the Dead Forest, given how hostile the environment is.
Yeah. So it is very dangerous for both, like just people in general. But then there are bandits like on the outskirts of it.
Coming from AGD Bros. If you make a Dojo Duel, could you destroy landscapes and will that be canon?
It
You can
depends.
destroy landscapes.
Yes.
No, it will not be canon, of course, unless there's.
Generally, the canon is at the LC's discretion. So if we feel that it's not appropriate, or if it's if it's not good, or something along those lines, then we're free to like not include it in the canon. But that's not to say that we won't do something like that. It's just saying it's under our control, ish.
Of course, Hyun has creative administration over all of this, and if he wants something to be canon, we have to figure out how to put it in. This has happened once before, and we talked about it previously.
Basically, as a general rule, if you destroy a landscape, we will not be canonizing it. The only times when we will consider it is if having something be canonized is the reward for some event, or if the event itself is canon, in which case it will be a large-scale effect, not determined at the individual level.
Yeah.
Great answer. Next one.
Okay. Where is rice grown, and what's that place like?
It's grown
From
in
Dan-
Bop Town. It's on the western continent, on the eastern seaboard of the western continents. It is a very Asiatic culture. It takes a lot of it's a lot of rice paddies. It takes a lot of inspiration from, I don't know, Vietnam, I guess, with their rice paddies. Southeast Asia, in that area, and it's very nice there.
Or as we can say, it has a lot of Kaihan influences.
For a place that like grows all of the precious resource of the world, we really didn't give it a great name.
Well, to be fair, we gave it that description after it was named. We didn't name a lot of these places. A lot of these places were already here when we showed up. Next question.
Next up, coming from King Keel Official, where do I submit art for Sierra?
You can submit the art for the Tour Around Sierra competition either on the main Discord server or on the specific thread for Tour Around Sierra on the Hyun's Dojo website.
Hold on, let me get the thread for that really quick.
No, I have
Did
it.
we also get them the link to the main server as well?
Okay. If you guys look in the description of the video, I actually put the Discord link on the top line. You might have to refresh the page.
Oops.
So my mods are linking where you can submit art. So right now we have an ongoing competition called Tour Around Sierra. That's the video that we're playing right now in the background. So these are like little snippets, little snapshots of each region, and all this artwork is submitted by the community. So if you want to participate in that, you can, and you also have a chance of winning some money. So yeah, if you're an artist, it's a perfect way to submit your artwork for these
Get your
videos.
art out there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing stopping you from just doing that casually.
Coming from Isaiah Ivory, are there any high tensions between factions? Will they boil over soon?
Yes.
Again, factions is very, very vague. But yes.
Coming from Alexander Skooksaz, what area of Sierra was the most fun to create?
This is subjective. I personally liked Biju because I had a major hand in actually creating it and not just writing about it, right? As I said before, for a lot of the lore committee members, we joined the committee and had to work on something that was already written. There's only 3 cases where we as a committee have created new regions. Biju was one of them. And I think it was the most easiest to implement. It was the most fun to write about. If Sierra was real, I'd want to be in Biju.
I mean, like, in its own way, writing the TAC descriptions for the lore and all of that is in its own way what's it called? You're basically reimagining and recreating the location. So for me, that was like Moch was pretty fun. Crystal Tiger was also pretty fun because took some little bit of Norse inspiration in there, and just it's a very nice sort of cool place. Pun not intended.
Okay, this one isn't in the document, but I think is relevant. Is there a canon OP character in Sierra, and is it God?
No, I don't think so.
The OP characters in Sierra are the ancient races.
Yeah.
It is Hyun.
Besides
Basically, we have not canonized any gods in Sierra, and we do not plan to do so anytime soon.
Yeah, so
there are godlike creatures, but there are not gods.
Yeah, so the Seraphs and the Somnians, they were a race which was very powerful, and many commoners today think they were gods, but it was just they're just a powerful race that were in war.
Okay, coming from Kaiseru, can the color of Sierrium fiber be changed?
If you want,
Creative liberties.
Where it had a color.
Yeah, creative liberties is up to you.
Yeah.
It does have a color. Every depiction so far, which has mainly just been from Hyun, Sierrium fiber is completely black, jet black. If you want to change that for your own personal version of it, go ahead.
I think
give us RGB.
it's comparable to like carbon fiber, like dark carbon fiber. But I'm just lazy and I don't want to put that, and I just use black, so that's why it's not actually like pure black.
Coming from Cleon, what is the canonicity of the dojo in Sierra, and what role does it play in the lore?
It's canon. The dojo actually is in Sierra, known as the dojo. In fact, they've had 2 golden eras. The most recent one as distributing the rice.
Sorry.
Okay. They play a role as like the distributor of the rice that's grown in Bop that we mentioned earlier. The rice is grown, it's sent to the dojo, and then the dojo gives it out to whoever performs the best in the tournament. And also who needs the rice the most in Sierra, because there are some places that rely on it to live.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, coming from Bitstained, are there any canonical amounts of rice currently in Sierra?
Yes. Again, Bop
what was the
grows
question?
it.
No,
So-
like as a numerical figure. Is there a canon
numerical
number for the
figure?
amount of rice?
Ooh, I don't know about that.
Probably not, because again, we don't exactly specify how much rice is grown. We've occasionally made the reference to Dragon Ball's Sensu Bean, where it takes like up to a week, maybe even 10 days to grow one. So it is rather valuable, rare, and in high demand, but we don't have a solid number for it. And even if we did know how much was grown, each individual region uses it differently. Some people just keep it and hold on to it. Some people use it immediately. So unfortunately, no, we don't have a solid number for how much rice there is in Sierra.
There's a lot.
Coming again from Bitstained, who is the coolest lore committee member? Hyun.
Next question.
Coming from KAP Anims, can things on Sierra affect duelists? For example, healing waters, runes, the shadow itself, without affecting Sierra, just the duelist?
Yeah. I'd say the perfect example of this is the Veil. The Veil surrounds the ruins of Somnus, right? That's what wiped out a lot of them as well. A lot of people have depicted in their animations or comics that their duelist goes through the Veil, sees something in their own personal history, and it was very interesting to see people interpret it like that. Of course, there are other examples, but that's the one that comes to mind. Sorry, go ahead, Naito.
From Fearless Drago, is there an origin to rice?
Yes, there is. This was also in Ancient Sierra. It is concentrated magic, but whose concentrated magic? It is the Seraphs' concentrated magic. They created it as a resource to leave behind in the event that they're just completely wiped out by the Somnians. Of course, we know that they didn't lose that fight, so now they just have a bunch of rice everywhere.
Paper bag, how big is Ether?
Massive.
Either?
Aether, sorry.
Aether's pretty big.
There's the Etherean Isles, and then there's the what's called cities itself. And the cities are somewhat expensive, given that, well, they're quite expensive, given that they were like home to one of the most technologically advanced civilizations in the current period, or like in previous periods. So the ruins of either like stretch a good way. I mean, they're mostly ruins now. Well, I mean, you're probably just better off reading the description, to be honest.
Oh, there it is. Yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
Next up from Gilded Guy, did they answer my game question? Yes, we
Yes.
did.
Yes.
Next question.
What was the answer to that again?
Fantoni, what is the most modern place to see?
Sorry,
No. We should explain what we answered.
I mean, he could have watched the whole stream. So what we answered is that we would love to make one, but it's far too resource intensive to try to uphold with just a handful of writers, essentially.
Wrong
and
question.
One potential video game developer.
Wrong question. Gilded was asking how much lore would be needed to build a video game. The answer to which is probably more than we have.
Yeah,
we can barely string together one region for TAC. I mean, like the amount of work of like world building and story arc, well, not story arcs, but history, legends, and lore, in order to create a world that huge is beyond our current capabilities.
I think we can do it. It'll take time.
It's also
Coming
subjective
from-
because there's some video games that have absolutely no story at all, and they're still good.
Yeah.
Coming from Stickman Tony, the most modern place in Sierra is what?
Either two.
Either
Without a
two.
doubt.
By
Yeah.
far, easily.
No, that would be
is-
the most technologically advanced. I thought that the most modern would probably have been
The most
Blackwatch.
The
modern.
most modern, yes. If it's the most modern, what we have to real life technology, then yes, it would be Blackwatch. But if we're talking about
Blackwatch
the
or Highgate?
Blackwatch, definitely Blackwatch.
All right.
Stickman Tony, how do duelists travel in Sierra?
With their feet,
With great difficulty.
Yes.
however they want.
But
Boats, planes, teleporters, magic, etc.
Yes, you can use
I mean,
whatever
like
you want.
But if
there
we
are
can-
transport systems like boats and stuff, and like people get around, but generally, you know, horse and cart is probably going to be the most realistic option for those in the more rural areas, etc. I mean, like, I know, yes, Aether 2 has like flying cities and flying cars and all of that, but that's not, you know, everywhere. That technology isn't available in all of Sierra.
Yeah.
Last aid, is there any places outside Sierra?
Yes,
That's
we,
up to
we
you.
already answered that question, I think.
We did.
Yep. Last aid, what is the safest, most dangerous place in Sierra?
That
Either the
is a
Shadowhold
good
or
question.
Dead Forest, in my opinion.
well,
Danger, yeah, the most
safest
dangerous. Go ahead, Muni.
Would say the safest would most definitely be Bop, even though it's like
Yeah, I would say Mick Fortress or Bop would be the most safest, and the most deadly would
Biju as
probably be like
well.
the dead. Yeah, even Biju, and the most dangerous would probably be like the Dead Forest or like
Shadowhold.
Shadowhold.
yeah, Shadowhold.
I
And
think Shadowhold actually edges out over the Dead Forest for most dangerous.
yeah,
We were writing up a story about an expedition team going into the Shadowhold to see what's on the other side, and they all died. And it also led to the downfall, which is the major Great War with the Shadow.
yeah.
Zeph,
Like,
so
It's World War One.
Also the
The
most.
entire thing about the Shadowhold, by the way, is that the closer you get to the whole in reality, the less physics and reality holds together, and it starts not making sense. So, like, by virtue of that, it's just extremely dangerous for everyone involved.
Zeph Zo, is Lumaura in any way connected to the Seraph race?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yes.
It is
Yeah.
an entirely seraphic. It's an entirely seraphic structure. We're going to explore what exactly it is soon enough to around Sierra, but as of right now, it is from what we know where the remaining seraphs retreated to. And if you want to
Basically
make
the
an angel
last.
duel, yeah, if
It's
you
the
wanna make
last Seraph
duel-
city.
Next.
Hazel the One. I saw this question on the Discord and wanted an official word. Does Blackwatch have gulags?
Up to interpretation. We haven't mentioned any. They have, however, during the Aether Blackwatch War, occupied Aether 1, where they took in a bunch of refugees and whatnot. They occupied it.
I'm going to be
Stavia,
honest, like, if you're going to put gulags anywhere, Blackwatch is probably your best bet.
Stavia, is Corrupted Rice going to be a notable story feature in the future?
Unlikely. As of right now, it's not.
Yeah.
It-
Right now it's not.
Corrupted Rice right now is being used to test a new mechanic in Dojo Duels. It is not currently connected to the lore in any way, and we do not currently have plans for that to change.
It's exclusively a forum mechanic, a forum dueling mechanic.
Blade's question kind of already got answered by Sarah, so I'm going to go down to KAP Annans. Is there any mechanical or rune technology that have or tried to interact with the shadow energy?
I don't think there has been, but up to personal interpretation, to be honest.
Yeah. We tried to do something with it, but I don't think that got anywhere. So to answer your question, no.
Mr. Greedy, I wonder if it's possible to take over the Shadowhold.
Yeah, maybe in your
Ooh.
own interpretation, but in canon, no. People have tried, and it led to World War One. So
Yeah.
I mean, like,
Zepzo,
the
Go ahead.
Shadowhold is connected to an entire extra-dimensional plane, sort of. So you're going to have to go through it and then conquer all of that somehow.
Yeah.
Zepzo, how long did the the Blackwatch Ether conflict last?
Oh, that's a good question.
it was like less than 10 years. I can get an exact number.
Yeah, it was around 10, maybe less years, I think.
Hold
kind of
on.
time.
Last
Right here. It was 4 years.
4 years, yeah. It's pretty short.
We've kind of answered questions similar to last stage already, so I'm just going to skip over to Pog Scoot. What episode do I start in Dojo Duels?
There aren't really episodes. But if there were to be one place you should start to read up on the lore, it would definitely be the wiki.
Yes. The wiki is linked in the description, so if you want more like written information on everything, definitely go to the wiki link in the description.
It also wouldn't hurt if you watched the THC videos. We put a decent amount of effort into that.
Those who don't
Or,
read, as well. Yeah, you can read both. You can read the wiki and watch the video.
Yeah.
Ooh,
They
that's
share
a
the
good
same info.
question. Sorry, there's a good question. How does the wildlife here compare to Earth?
That is a good
Wildly.
For
We
that-
have
This
For
is where it
creatures
gets a little bit gray, isn't it?
for creatures that we do have canonized, we used to have an old competition that resulted in a few canon creature designs. Most of them are either very much fantasy creature concepts or kind of like modified versions of earth animals. One example would be the buns, which are basically giant balls of floof with bunny ears that have a bad habit of going wild. They were the focus of an old event way back when, probably four-ish years ago now, I think. Yeah, so for the most part, either fantasy or modified earth.
We leave it up to interpretation. If you want to put dragons, go ahead. But I think a good way to think about it would be how they do it in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Specifically, the scene where the gang gets invited to the Earth Kingdom and they say, "Hey, come look at the king's bear," and everyone says, "Do you mean skunk bear? No, you mean air bear. Oh no, you mean this, that kind of bear." There's obviously different kinds of bears, but hey, there might just be a normal bear too. It's up to interpretation.
We wouldn't be opposed to like opening up that competition again and just, having the artists to have a heyday. Are we?
Yeah, why
Yeah.
not? You know what? Maybe that'll be.
I mean,
after-
the major part of it was that the person running it, Sid, was a major animal enthusiast for the lore. But since we have Xeno, we could probably get it back up and running again.
Let's go to the next question.
Yeah, okay.
All right, I'm going to treat this as the last question tonight because one, I think it's a really good one to end on, and two, it's 8:30 my time, so
Okay.
we've been going a half hour over what we expected. The question is, how do you contribute to the lore without being an animator?
I mean, you can either try and become an LC member when we have, what's it called? Open up law committee applications again, and basically this prerequisites for that is you have to be a good writer and you have to be like knowledgeable about the law. But there's also a way for non-LC members in order to submit suggestions to the law, and it's a bit dead, but we have a Google Forms where we just look over and just like where people can just answer some questions, submit the idea, and then eventually we'll get to it.
Yeah. So again, if you're not an animator, or if you're anyone who wants to participate more in the lore, definitely join the Discord link in the description of this video. That'll take you to a Discord channel completely dedicated to Dojo Duels lore, and then you can kind of start there and then start reading up on each area, submitting ideas, and just having conversations about the lore. And then eventually you'll probably, get something.
And
Yeah, so-
if it just so happens that we're taking up law committee members, we'd be glad to have you if you're good at writing.
Yeah.
So yeah, just remember that the lore committee might do a lot of the writing, but we hold ourselves to the same standard that we hold the community to. So if anything that the lore committee can suggest and canonize into the lore, the community can suggest as well through that form. All we do is we basically go through and make sure that it doesn't contravene any of the rules and that it makes sense within the setting.
Yeah.
All right, Naito, can you repeat that question one more time? Because I got an answer, maybe.
Which question? The one that we've been answering for the past little bit?
Yeah, because
how do you contribute to the lore without being an animator?
right. Yeah, most of that about fits the bill, but I was thinking more along the lines of like, if you want to try to get into it, like, I would say start off with what most of us did, where Dojo Duels. So if you can't animate, look at we have a writing channel, and there's also like a little writing section in the forums where you can hone that skill. If you're an artist and you draw, like, do that. If you want to do stories, well, there's writing.
Yeah.
Oh, are we talking about the unofficial writers' lounge and all of that?
Yeah.
I love the Writers Lounge. A few of us LC members are part of the Written Duels section, which is an unofficial variant of Dojo Duels that is based around written works instead of comics or animations. So if you
don't
guys
worry,
want to join us and check it out, please do.
If you guys are like wondering why it's still unofficial, don't worry, it's coming. It's coming up with the new website. So yeah, look forward to Written Duels.
Okay, so we're just reached the hour 30 mark for the stream, so I think we can start wrapping it up. I think the next thing that we should cover is just give people a little snippet of how the meetings go down and what we write. Maybe we can show them one of the documents.
Oh,
Like we can show them one of the old documents, and we can go through the design philosophy and the ideas behind it.
Okay.
One last thing.
Azurus is a good one to do.
So if anyone has any more questions, there's actually a Q&A channel within the lore, within the lore committee server. So if there's a question that you didn't get answered or you think can be expanded on, feel free to ask it there.
By the way, if your questions didn't get answered here, don't worry. We'll probably host another one of these. Say, like how long until the next stream?
Probably
Well,
another...
it was 3 months since the last one, so if we're going on that schedule, 3 months. But considering how much more engagement we got this time, if we start hosting them on YouTube, we might want to do them a little bit more often.
I mean, I thought generally the goal was a monthly basis, right?
Yeah.
But we also had raised some concerns just about availability and then interfering with tax scheduling.
Yeah.
Tax?
Two around
TAC, T-A-C.
Oh, okay, yeah, all right.
What's a good region that we can show off?
I can.
Azurus?
I mean,
I'd recommend
I'd probably choose Rhytera Valley or what's it called, Crystal Tiger. I know those areas kind of well, and we can, and those two areas have sort of strong motifs.
Which one was it where we argued about sand or rock?
Highgate.
Highgate.
That one was
guys,
that was an
my
absolutely
God.
stupid discussion.
That might have been my favorite moment with this group, was the half-hour argument over whether or not the beach of Highgate should be rocky or sandy.
You tried to get me to come in after the meeting and help argue it again. I was like, what? I didn't care the first time. What makes you think I'm going to care the second time?
For those of you who are wondering what the end of the conversation was, we cut the difference. We split the difference and said pebbles.
Okay, so if you guys look at the screen right now, this is a document for Azurus that we completed a while ago. But usually when we start our lore committee meetings, will all be in this document. And then we start off with like these main questions right here. So like these are what we're focusing on the region, and we try to answer these main questions about the region. So stuff like, what do you see? Short origin story. What are the people like? How's rice affecting them? And then their main goal and agenda. So yeah, so then you have different sections of descriptions that we try to write down, like geography, architecture, technology, and then stuff in blue here, they're like bullet points. So in the very beginning, we just start off with general bullet points, and then we kind of discuss these and debate with each other. And then once we reach a general consensus, we start writing it down.
May I?
Well,
Yeah.
I reckon. Okay, if Naito, sorry.
So some of you guys might have noticed earlier when we had that little display up that we had a bunch of icons, some names, and then also something about teams, like team 1, team 2, stuff like that.
Team A, Team B.
Yeah, team A, team B. The team A was the main bulk of the writers. They were the ones that took the notes and wrote them out into the fully fleshed out forms. Team B was kind of like the pre-write team, and we were devoted to lining out those bullet points. So Team B would usually be one round ahead of Team A, and then Team A would take what Team B gave them and polish it up and make it look nice.
On the topic Hyun brought up about dot points and our general work, method of work, even before that, I reckon to say that the most important step generally is coming up with a really strong core motif. And we try and do that in several ways. We search YouTube for music, etc. And in order to just try and build a good mental picture of what this place is, how the people are like, what's the tone and atmosphere of this place in general. And once we have that nailed down, everything else it's a bit easier to slot all of the puzzle pieces in together, because now that you have this core motif, you understand like what should go where and what is contributing and what isn't contributing to the tone.
Yeah. So if you look at the links here, we even link YouTube videos of like music, and then we'll like listen to the music together to see if it sounds right, and then that usually helps our writing. So you often see like YouTube links of tonal music, and yeah.
I believe I was like the first one to start that trend, and it's just followed through ever since.
Yeah,
you definitely were.
It does help a lot.
Another thing that I know that we do is when we're in a meeting discussing a specific region, we'll often have people going to Google and just spamming out landscape pictures that kind of fit what we had going on in our head for that region, and then kind of talk about to each other about what aspect of that we wanted to make sure we included.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and by the way, I do want to mention that the meetings aren't clean and tidy. We debate like sometimes hours about what the core motif of a place is, and over like specific details of whether a certain detail diminishes or adds to the overall tone of the region. I believe like one of the most contested ones we've had to date was Eternum Coast, because like what's it before like there wasn't really much in Eternum Coast, so basically nobody had a core idea or motif, so we just basically had to write one ourselves.
Yeah, there's a lot
Eternum
of
Coast
debating.
used to be zombies and ghosts, and we have ended up turning it into weird time stuff.
Yeah, maybe we can give them a sneak of Eternum. No.
I mean, are you sure you want to do that?
Yeah.
Eternum was definitely probably the roughest region that we had, partially because working on it was coming out of the Christmas break, so people had been off for a little bit and needed some time to readjust into the schedule, and also partially just because there were so many minutiae and so many different perspectives that were being addressed that ended up clashing against each other. Eternum Coast, I would say, is the single reason we haven't had a TAC round since January.
Yeah, like it got to the point where I almost refused to touch the current round of regions.
Yeah, so this region is
No, I still think the sand one from Highgate, as much as we laugh it off, I still think that was by far the dumbest moment we've had in Lore Committee in the most recent.
That was definitely the
memorable
dumbest,
time.
but it wasn't
Definitely.
like the toughest.
It wasn't the
or
worst though.
You guys spent half an hour arguing sand.
yeah, there's some pretty crazy debates during the meetings, and it's
Yeah.
there's some times where it's just not pretty, and like we all have to like take a break for the day just to cool it down because there's some heated debates. But yeah, overall, I think we turn out some pretty good lore at the end of the day.
It's all for
I
the
mean, it's-
sake of a better product at the end.
I mean, it's not only that. I reckon to say that a lot of the times our writing styles conflict a lot, and so it's just we have debates over which style is better and which style is more appropriate.
Yeah.
I think we've mostly sorted that out by now. Like, you're really good at the general short descriptions. I'm good at touching up the rest of the stuff so that it's not bland, but also not like dripping with flavor.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, there was your sneak peek at what we usually do in the lore meetings. I think we're gonna end the stream in a couple of minutes now. What should we?
Before we go,
Yeah.
let's do one last little thing to finish up. Is let's just, I don't know.
Work on the document or something.
No, like I kind of agree that like if we're gonna do that, we should probably just go into the normal meeting and invite people who were here today to come join us if they'd like to. But no, I more meant let's just do something as a little farewell. Maybe, I don't know. Let's just do what our favorite regions are. let's just go through the list and just say what our favorite regions are, just as a little farewell.
All right, favorite regions. Let's go down the list.
Not gonna lie, I think
ACJ,
ACJ
we're
is just
doing
falling asleep.
No. I've been listening. I just, there's not too much I can add that you guys already covered. No reason to talk when I don't need to. But talking about favorite region, you already know best region in Healing's Dojo history, Aegis Fields. You see all the beginning animators go there. It's got the best aesthetics. See, green is my favorite color. Besides that, it's easy to animate, but people can really stretch the people can use their imaginations to stretch a field of grass into something truly beautiful. I just think the versatility of such a plain environment and how many people choose to go there, seeing it portrayed in so many different ways, it's just really beautiful. Honestly, Aegis Fields is the best region. We held a poll to see what people liked. Most people voted Aegis Fields. That should tell you how much people like it and how great it is.
Plain and boring, just like you. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
All right,
bro.
We got an Aegis
Elsie's spitting
enthusiast.
fire today.
Anyway, for me, I mean, these two regions aren't exactly like the regions that turned out the best in TAC, but I like them because of the core motif I used while working on them, and that's Crystal Tiger and Raitera Valley. Raitera Valley has a very unique motif where it's about turbulence, chaotic beauty, and movement. Things are always changing, and it's powerful and fast and bold, chaotic and beautiful, and like all of that. Crystal Tiger has a very strong motif of hunters and wolves. It's either like feast or starve, you know, that sort of thing, and it's really great. Like, it's nice. Not gonna lie. Anyway, Phalak, onto you.
It's
Well,
late.
when I first made my duelist, my favorite region was the one I chose, which is Aether Ruins, because you've got technology, you've got ruins. You've got an ancient war feud. There's so much potential there for a character. It's just, well, yeah, it's what really appealed to me and why I picked it for my duelist. But um, in, in terms of what region I actually like, I'd have to say Bobtown, and the reason for that is actually because of the wall. Like, it's got this barrier around Bobtown, and there's no mention of it being gone, so you've got this town with this barrier, and I just think the area has some decent potential.
All right. My favorite region, it used to be the Aether Ruins because that's where my duelist starts out from, but I think my new favorite region is actually the Moch because I don't know, I just really like the concept of it. Really hazardous, but at the same time you got all these Cajun style type of people and criminals.
You're sure it's not because Seraph wants there to be acid otters there and you're absolutely infatuated with them?
Nah, it's not. I just
No,
think
you did actually come out for Valentine's Day that one year.
yeah, but yeah, it's just I really like the people in this area. It's really fun to kind of think about the stories that will come out of the Moch.
There's a fun little tidbit, a bit of trivia for you all still here who didn't leave early, right? The Moch and Biju are loose references to Hyun's real life dog names, Mochi and Biju. Also, Biju has a double meaning. It means like gem in French, and they are rock gem people there, jewel people.
Yeah.
Not gonna lie, I reckon Moch turned out the best in the TAC rounds. It had a little bit of a rough start, to be honest, because it's like it was a bit difficult trying to hammer out the tone of like what this place was. But the underhive of scum and villainy was pretty was a pretty good motif in the end, I reckon.
Yeah. All right.
Hyun,
Moving.
for posterity's sake, do you have a picture of Mochi and Biju you can put on the screen?
For
the cultured people asking about the dogs now.
Let me go back to animals. Let's see.
Muni, yours?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Muni, go ahead.
Man, like last time I just said all of them, but right now, like the top 3 in no particular order are like Highgate because of just like the sheer absurdity of its like not business, like the sheer absurdity of its government, where you literally like spend money on everything. Like the concept is just absolutely absurd and ridiculous, and I love that. I like Biju because of its people, like rock people living deep underground, and like just the way that they're so alien compared to anything else in Sierra. And last but not least would be Navia, if for the culture that we've recently added, where they've yeah, sure, they've got to stick up their butt, but they're also a bunch of go-getters, striving for excellence, and that's something that I really respect.
All right, so here's a picture of my dogs. So the one on the top is Piju, and then this is the Moch or Mochi. Mochi's if you don't wash Mochi for like more than a few days, then she gets really stinky, and that's why we decided to name the Moch what it is, because it's a very stinky, rotten place.
Wait, is that really why you named the Moch that?
Yeah. That's the reason.
Again, I'd like to preface that the majority of the lore committee came into the lore committee with pre-existing lore. So I didn't actually know that the Moch was named that, and I've been on here for a while. Biju, we named because of your dog.
Yeah.
But Moch, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Moch gets pretty stinky, so that's why. Anyways.
Yeah, you're really just insulting everyone today.
My disappointment is immeasurable.
All right, who's next?
Oh, well, for me, my favorite region is probably Wither's Reach. For personal reasons, I was the project lead on the Great Weather Tree quest, and I had a major hand in determining the aftermath of it. And the region, I think, is something that the rest of Sierra doesn't really approach. The closest thing being the moat itself, but we didn't really have any areas that were really heavy on fungal growth and mushrooms. Plus, it gave the opportunity to give like a quarantine zone that duelists could fight in, but have to deal with like a major environmental hazard.
All right.
Oh, Night Vibe, you still alive?
Yeah, still alive, still alive. What was the question?
What's your favorite region?
Right? Wait a minute. When we asked this last time at the end of last year.
Yeah.
Well,
Just
we're
answer
doing
the
it again.
What the hell did I say?
Also, finish your demo.
I think my favorite region has to be. I think it's tied between Azurus or the Veil.
Azurus or the Veil. Okay. Can't really see that on the map, but
yeah, that's my favorite one.
all right. Sereth?
Okay, I guess I just don't exist then, huh?
Oh, Pigeon. Sorry. Go ahead.
I get it. No, go ahead, Sarah. What's yours? You go first then, Sarah.
That's fine. We'll get another pigeon. There's
No, you
plenty
already
to
said your
interact.
favorites. I remember in the beginning.
Oh, that's not the whole answer.
I mean, come on,
Sarah,
pigeons.
go.
You
Sarah,
like
go.
there are
Sarah, go.
thousands of pigeons in like New York City and all over the country. Like you're not exactly special.
I would
But
really like
pigeons
to
is-
hear Pigeon's answer first, though.
I used to like Blackwatch, and then I started liking Bijou, but that's probably because of personal bias. That's what it can be chalked up to. But I like the regions that are gonna have the most change or have had changed the most, which is why I'm gonna really like Cocoa Desert and Magnus Ridge soon. Right now, they just seem like face value. That's all it is. It's just a desert. It's just volcano land. But soon enough, with Tour Around Sierra, you're gonna see what they were, what they used to be. It's gonna be great.
Oh yeah, Magnus Ridge has a pretty deep history, so that would be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, we have started
deeper.
on.
It's a lot deeper than just Super Mario Magma World.
We've Magnus Ridge has come up a lot while we've been working through the rest of the Tour Around Sierra regions, and I think we have a solid idea of what we want to do there, and I am excited for it as well.
All right, Sarah, your turn.
Mine is all the regions, because it's not about the regions, it's the friends you make along the way.
No.
Oh, my
Friendship is
God.
lame. Boo. Boo.
Alright, I ended
I
on a
guess-
good note. I ended on a good note.
I guess Sarah doesn't want the acid otters then.
Wait, no, wait, I changed my mind.
Boo. Friendship is lame.
Okay, I guess we're moving on. Sophie?
Oh, we're just gonna let that slide?
I think my favorite region used to be Navia, but I changed it to be the Veil because
Point two for the Veil.
because I feel like there's a lot of story potential with the Veil since it's very mysterious and its fog is like people see things in the fog, and I feel like I could make a really good story with that. So that's why I like
Oh
it.
yeah, there's tons of story potential in the Veil. Not gonna
Yeah.
lie. I just wish it covered more of the Western continent.
Hey,
The Veil
community
is
moderator
so long.
Traycon, what is your favorite region?
I do not answer questions.
All right.
Oh, you're here. Might as well think
Not
of
gonna lie,
others.
you
What's
haven't
your
answered
favorite?
questions this entire time. You've just been hanging out here.
That's
What's
fine.
your favorite? What's your favorite, Trey?
Favorite.
Yeah, favorite. What is it?
Where's your OC from again, Tricon? The D&D game?
Oh, geez. Friggin'
Wasn't it Ever? Old Ever?
No. It's the desert place.
Cocoa Desert.
Wait. There's a Hyun's Dojo D&D thing?
No. Yeah.
There was.
Cocoa Desert.
It was.
Magdaros, I believe. That was called again.
Magdaros Mountains.
Yeah. It's from there.
Duelists
right here.
encounter a
I
wild
do-
goblin.
Yeah, I guess I do like that because it's like, desert place and make like, I guess like hub cities or something like that.
All right, cool.
Your duelist
Not
runs
a bad
into
choice.
a bunch of boars.
Yeah, basically.
Yo, Hyun, so there was like this comment in the live chat about maybe opening up Patreon for Hyun's Dojo. Do you think we should have that or not?
We do
Yes, I
have.
guess I can.
Okay. Let me tell you about the Patreon, okay? Because okay, our Patreon does exist, right? But we haven't updated. I haven't updated it for like 2 years. Okay, so it's a dead Patreon. But I do have plans to revive it, and that will include extra benefits such as Dojo Duels stuff, but also just the Hyun's Dojo website in general. But I don't want to advertise our Patreon right now because just because of the fact that we're not posting anything on it. But if you do want to go to the Patreon, I think it's just patreon.com/Hyun'sDojo. If you want to support for nothing, but down the road we are going to be updating it and kind of reviving it, so you can look forward to that.
So that maybe we can get some writers who are better than us and who can actually do their jobs properly.
Yeah.
So I have just been reminded that I was already aware of Dojo D&D, and in Dojo D&D I had committed suicide, so never mind.
Oh my god.
That's terrible.
Time to make a new
Oh, by the way-
character.
Which region would have the best steakhouse?
This steakhouse?
What
Is
the
that what
Matt
you
Bab's
said?
kitchen.
Aegis,
Very
Flavor
odd
Town.
question.
out.
Aegis.
hear me out.
Regions?
Aether 2. They have laboratories dedicated solely to the perfect recipe.
No, it's
Aw.
always going to be Flavor Town
Fly
in my
over to
heart.
either two just for the best thing. Very
All
expensive.
right.
Oh,
Flavortown was burned to the ground, so
Okay, guys,
it
we
may
have
not be canon in real life.
Overcharge me at Flavor Town.
we have about a couple minutes left, so we're gonna end the stream now. Everyone in the chat, thanks for sticking around. We're still at like 125 viewers. That's like a lot more than I expected for just talking about nerd stuff. So
I have 100 tabs open here.
oh dang, okay, well yeah, I appreciate you guys asking questions. There's a lot of questions. If you didn't have your question answered, you can write your question in the comments of this video, and then one of our moderators and lore committee members will answer your question via text. So you can,
I mean,
yeah,
we'll either do that or we'll carry it over to the next.
yeah, or we'll have another event like this, or another live stream like this, probably a month or so down the line.
One more question from Blasty McShootatron. Hyun, you're cute.
Oh, thank you very. I appreciate it.
That's not a question, so therefore it's invalid. Hyun, you're not cute.
Hyun, you're cute.
But I'm not cute. I'm supposed to be cool, man. God damn it.
how
Hey,
can you be a
language.
cool and a boomer though?
Look at those.
You can still be cool and a boomer. I'm hip.
I don't know.
I don't know about that, man.
I'm
Let's
pretty
be
good.
honest. We all know Sarah. Let's be honest. We all know Sarah is the real cutie.
Or
Hyun,
just
let's face the facts here. You're a 30-year-old man hanging out with like kids. Like that's not exactly.
Boy, just look at my face.
I'm not that much
Dude,
of a
look at my
kid
face.
anymore, you know? It's an
Do you
adult
know
now.
Hyun's kill list in Roblox? I didn't think so.
Exactly. I play
Question for
Roblox.
Paper Bag. Hold on, I have a question for Paper Bag. Is Hyun dead inside?
I just wanted to.
Yeah.
Actually, you know,
I can neither confirm nor deny.
I just want to mention for any of you viewers out there that that tends to play Roblox. Okay, so if you happen to be playing Bad Business and you see a Dojo underscore Hyun with a rifle with a semi-auto rifle in the game, just avoid it at all costs.
Yeah, if you
End the stream.
if you meet me in Roblox, don't let me find you on Bad Business because you will die. You understand me?
It is.
You'll die.
I have died so many times with that rifle. Of his, it's just, it's
Okay. Anyways,
Goodbye, everyone.
thanks for coming, guys.
Yeah,
We're gonna end it
see ya,
now.
guys.
Farewell.
It's been fun.
It's been
We'll see you
fun.
next time.
Maybe.
Have a good
Goodbye.
Valentine's Day.
There are no
Join the
last words tonight.
Discord. Submit
actually had steak
questions.
dinner today
Start
for
dueling, folks. You know.
It's delicious.
Let's play this nice music, and we'll have a nice ending.
Yay.
You're gonna link us the music, right, Hyun?
Yeah.
No, it's gonna be Dire Dogs.